Greetings. I'm Dr. Catherine Y. Brown. As you know, I am on my journey to interview 100 voices of pulmonary hypertension, and that includes patients, caregivers, medical professionals, the community, and even you. Today, I am so excited to have as my very special guest, Karen Sawyer. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you. Hello.
I want to say I am so thankful that you have agreed to share your story with me and allow me to share with all of our viewers around the world.
Mhm. More
So
than happy to.
thank you. So for our viewers, could you share where you're located at? Because they're always curious about where people are located. And then also a little bit about yourself. Who is Karen?
I am located in Okemos, Michigan. It's in the middle of the state. I've lived here since 1970. About me, I am a hairdresser. I love to watercolor paint. I'm funny. Uh, really have a positive lookout on life. You know, I I pet sit a lot. I love animals, and you know, I've I was diagnosed in 2013 after cardiac arrest that I was diagnosed with pulmonary arterial hypertension. So
So let's go to that journey, right? Because I want to know when you first heard those words, pulmonary hypertension, and then if you can even take us a little bit before that. And let me say this, I'm so glad you're here, right? That is the beautiful part about it. So were you feeling unwell before you went into cardiac arrest? Was there a period of time? What did that journey look like for you?
before I was diagnosed, about a year before, um, I was really having a hard time breathing. I was a little bit heavier than I was now, and I just would take so many steps and just be out of breath. So I, thought I had asthma. The doctor had put me on, you know, high blood pressure medicine, but uh, probably like a week before the cardiac arrest, I really couldn't breathe. I almost fainted twice in my apartment, and that was super scary. Because when I had the cardiac arrest, it was in the hospital. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here today if it had happened at home in my
Mhm.
apartment, which I almost did twice. So uh, that was really scary. But you know, I was going to a carefree clinic that wasn't like because of my insurance. I don't think the doctor, she was more of a nurse's assistant. So I wasn't seeing the proper healthcare team at the time. But um, what happened, and thank God it the way it did and where it happened that I'm here today. So when I heard after my cardiac arrest in the hospital the next day, they did a right heart cath, and the doctor came in and diagnosed me with pulmonary hypertension. And I didn't know what it was at all, never heard of it, had no clue. I was really out of it because of the cardiac arrest. So I was devastated. All I wanted to do was cut hair. I was worried about my clients. And I asked when I could go back to work, and he just said, he didn't know, and he said not at this time and hopefully someday, but I was never able to go back to work in the salon because of the disease, because of the fumes and all of that, all the other chemicals. But I still do hair. Um, so I love that. But that was really, really hard and
Yeah.
really devastating and scary, and you know, and all the different types of medicines. I was on a sub-Q pump, and and that was really, really difficult to get used to the medicine and how you feel. And it took about 8 months before I could even stand up and do a haircut because I was so weak.
Can you go back just to explain, because some viewers might not know what you're referring to when you say the sub-Q pump? Maybe kind of describe that.
Sub-Q pump is a little, it almost looks like an old pager, a little bigger, and it has two batteries in it, and it has a small syringe without the needle, and it has the medicine called Remodulin. And every 48 hours, I had to put the medicine in the syringe and get all the bubbles out, and then in the sub-Q pump, in the little pump, you put the syringe in there. There's it had batteries, so you would program it, and the syringe would go down, and then you have a tubing, and it have a needle in your belly, and the tubing would carry the medicine into your body. So every 48 hours, I had to add a new syringe, and the pager, the pump had a little beeper on it, and I would use my phone to put the timing to remind me on my calendar when to change it and so forth.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Because I think, we want them to really understand. So from that, you had the sub-Q pump, and what was the next kind of steps in your journey?
Well, I was on that for 3.5 years. And then I went to my first Pulmonary Hypertension Association conference in 2016. And I heard about Orenitram. I heard there was a oral medication for this disease. And I thought, gosh, wouldn't that be great if I could change my medication and not deal with the needle pain and all the complications with the sub-Q. So I came back here, and my wonderful doctor, Dr. Mughal, I asked him, and he said, we can start the process. So he had to get permission from the state to transition me, and I had to be on he had to add another medication for 6 months, and then I was transitioned, and it was scary because I didn't know if the medicine was going to work or not, if it was going to make me feel just as bad as getting used to the sub-Q Remodulin, and now this was pill form, and it went very smoothly. But it was terrifying and exciting at the same time, changing medicines, because you have no idea if it's going to work until you go through it.
Right.
And I decided, well, if it doesn't work, I can either go back on the pump or try, inhaling, or try a different path. But luckily, I've been doing really well on it. So yeah, so I've only had to increase my milligrams one time so far. So I was on 5 milligrams, now I'm on 7.5. And the increase, getting used to the medicine is not fun. You don't feel good. You feel really like you have the flu. You feel like you're really fatigued. You get headaches and nauseous, and it's no fun. But once your body kind of adjusts, for me, you kind of feel back to normal, which is really nice. So, and certain foods don't agree with the medicine, so that's a very common problem, even with the pump that you have, that we talk about a lot as a patient. So you always have to kind of figure out what foods are going to agree with you with the medicine, because in the Oranitram, it's a slow release tablet, so it doesn't completely dissolve. It's a shell of a pill after when you digest it. So it's like a gel, and you digest it and it comes out of you. So when you eat, I was, you know, if you eat different foods, I call it the swirly method. But because your body's like, oh, that's not going, you just have a stomach ache or nauseous, and sometimes I just have to have a Hawaiian bun or something to absorb, because you want the food and the pill to marry.
Got it. So Karen, you just brought up a lot of points and I want viewers to hear. So I'm gonna kind of jump back. One, the fact that you advocated for yourself. You heard about something that could possibly work for you. Then, because you had a great relationship with a provider who listened to you, and that provider then advocated for you and went to the state to make sure that you could get this medication that you desire. Then once you had to be disciplined and go through a regimen of 6 months of trying one thing to get to the end goal. So that was, to me, resilience and perseverance. And when you finally got the medication, you still are advocating, but being very, I would say, maybe cautious and wise in terms of monitoring the food, taking it one step at a time, learning what works and what doesn't work. And the only reason I bring those points out is because I really want viewers to know that it's not a one size fits all. What works for Karen may not work. And then also for those people who maybe have a provider who's not listening, to know that there are providers out there that do listen and will work with you to get what you need. But once you get what you need, you still have to be disciplined and follow whatever those guidelines are and pay attention and make good choices that work well for your body or your new normal. Did I get that right?
Yes. And one thing that I want to say is I started journaling my food with them when I took the medicine, because you have to eat and then take the medicine with food. So you're so nauseous, and you feel icky anyway, because you have a new kind of medicine and your body has to get used to it. And when I increased, I think 3 years ago, it took 5 months to go from 5 milligrams to 7.5. And I would journal how I felt and what I was eating, so I wouldn't retract that. Because when you eat something, if it's a vegetable or if it's a fruit, and you don't have any substance with that food, I didn't feel good. I felt my tummy hurt. I felt really nauseous. So, writing those things down, and then, making sure you want that food, but it's not going to agree with you with the medicine. So you're going to pay for the consequences in the bathroom, if you know what I mean. So that super duper helped. And I keep my journal, because Someday I might have to increase my medication again. The other awareness is I have maybe someday the Oranitram won't work and I'll have to change medication again. So keeping that mindset that this disease, there's no cure, but you can keep having a positive outlook and educating yourself into other ways. You can get the medicine or with your healthcare team, or when you're doing that also, choosing the right foods to eat with medication. Because I know a lot of people, well, I know a few people on the Oranitram, their doctors just said they could eat just whatever they wanted. But when I was transitioned, I had to have so much fat and so many carbs with the medication in order for it to work and feel okay digesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, which helps for me, but right, not everybody's body's different and
Different.
it's going to react. Zucchini might be great for you with the medicine, but it's not for me. It doesn't work. I miss eating it, but it just doesn't, it's not happy with the Oranitram in my body.
Okay. So what the 6 month, they had to get approval from the state. Can you share why that, why they had to get approval from the state?
Because Dr. Mughal had never transitioned anyone from a sub-Q pump with pulmonary arterial hypertension to a Oranitram. Because the medication was pretty new on the market for me to use. So, they had it in trials, for I don't know how many years, but I think it was approved like 1 or 2 years before I started taking it. So when I heard about it in 2016, by 2017, that year, I think, yeah, I was able to transition. So June. So anyway, he had to get permission from the state for his, because he's a cardiologist and a pulmonologist, to legally transition me to that medicine. And I was his first patient to transition from a pump to Oranitram. He hadn't done any other pumps. I was his first one. And I was like, I'll be your guinea pig. I'll do it. So it was done in the hospital for 4 days. And I titrated down and they upped my medication with the oral with the pills, the Oranitram. And the staff had to be trained for 2 weeks. The staff had to be trained 2 weeks before I came in, because the hospital that I lived near weren't familiar with pulmonary hypertension and all of the medicines with that. So that was another thing that was a big deal. So now I have 2 friends, acquaintances that are on the Oranitram, and they were able to transition at home. So they had a visiting nurse. So it's nice to be able to do that. But at the time, I had to do it in the hospital, which was fine. I mean, I'm glad, because I was really monitored. But it was really scary. I had no idea how I was going to feel. If I prepared myself to feel really, really bad, like I did when I first started getting used to the medicine and the pump, and just kept thinking, well, hopefully I won't feel as bad.
Yeah.
And I didn't. So I was very lucky. But I know from other patients that I've talked to, Oranitram isn't for them, and it doesn't work. And they had to stop their transitioning, and their transitioning did not go well. So, which is unfortunate, but thank God there's more than one way or two ways for the medicine to get into your body. So,
Absolutely.
you know, probably back what in 1990 there was only one way. There was only one way, and now there's like 5 or 6 different kind of pathways for the medicine that you, depending on the individual and the doctor, that you can choose from. So yes, I've been really grateful. I call my doctor a hero because he saved my life.
Yeah.
He was in the emergency room when he was scheduled in the ER, and I had gone to like a ready care because I just couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
So I went there. They did an EKG. I went in the ambulance to the hospital. That was at 3 in the afternoon. And before 9, they had done some chest x-rays. I almost fainted, which was the cardiac arrest. But then by midnight, they had me all in the heart monitors, and the nurse had just left, and I had to go to the bathroom because they gave me water pills to get off the fluid. And I just blacked out. I fainted, and then that's when I woke up. They had broke a rib, getting me alive, and that's when I had cardiac arrest. I didn't even know until really the next day that I had cardiac arrest.
Oh my
So it was
God.
pretty wild. So the fluid, I had a lung full of fluid. I had pneumonia. I had a sinus infection. All at the same time, and it was May 11th, 2013. So I just thought I had asthma.
Oh my goodness, Karen.
Couldn't figure it out. I was 48. So with all the fluid with my heart and all that, that's why the cardiac arrest happened.
So you have had a journey, but you're still you are still here. And it reminds me of our mantra that we have, which is awareness, empowerment, and hope. Together, we can make a difference. And your journey, it to me, it really does encompass that whole thing, right? Because you became aware, right, of something that will work and
Yes.
this empowered you. And you're being the first. There's nothing wrong with being the
Yeah.
first, because now so many people have hope of something that may work for them thanks to you advocate. And it really is your service, because you allowed yourself, as you said, to be the first to take that risk and that chance. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but
Yeah. Well, the exciting part was, after I survived and, got used to the medicine and started feeling really good. I was going to, since 2014, I was going to um, support group meetings in Ann Arbor, the Pulmonary Hypertension Association support group meetings. And it was an hour away. And I kept asking my doctor, when are we going to have a support group meeting here? And he kept saying soon, soon, soon. So from 2014, 2017, I kept asking Dr. Mughal. And then I found out that I could be a support group leader. So I was like, well, why not? We need one here in Okemos and Lansing. I love going to my friend Bev's support group. She's had the disease for over 20 years. But I love going there, but it's an hour away.
that's right.
So I thought, why not I be one? So I signed up and got the training. And at first I became a mentor. So patients could set up email talks or phone calls. And I went through training for that. And then they asked me, and then I wanted to be a support group leader here, but they also asked you if you would ever speak. And I said yes, even though I was terrified. But I was trained to speak, and in 2018 and 19, I went to like 5 different states at different times and spoke in front of doctors and nurses and got to meet other patients. And that was really exciting and scary because I'm not really good with big groups, but it was worth it because I was able to tell my story because
Absolutely.
everybody's is different, and educate, the doctors and the patients of what my journey was like, and getting used to the medicine. So that was really, really exciting. And then traveling kind of stopped because of COVID. So
Because of COVID, yeah.
yeah. But anyway, I'm really grateful for what I was able to do, and now what I am able to do as a support group leader. I've only done virtual meetings since March of 2020. So I plan September. I'm still waiting to do in person, but October 8th is our first in-person meeting, and it will be at the hospital in a conference room. So that's very exciting, even though we'll do all the cautions, wearing our masks
The
and
mask.
like that.
And
We
so
have
that's
like a protocol that we have to follow.
to follow. And I was going to say, for those people watching this, that has been a long period of time, because today is August 2nd, 2022. And so we're still in this pandemic journey. And now we've got another World Health Organization on the rise, which is monkeypox. So hopefully that doesn't stand in
Yes.
of anything. I mean, we've gone from COVID-19 to monkeypox. It's definitely unprecedented times. So first of all, again, I'm sending you a virtual heart, because thank you for your service. I do have a question. I have asked you a lot of questions, but is there anything that you want to share for those patients watching, and just people who don't know about PH that may be watching, that I have not asked you?
The hardest part that I had a problem with when I was first diagnosed was I just kept asking, when am I going to feel better? While the medicine's going into your body. And a lot of patients need to understand, which was hard for me, you just want to feel better right away. And what I had to learn, which wasn't told to me, is the medicine is very, very, very strong. And it cannot get into your body in a quick way, because it will be not good. You might not be able to live through that. So in small doses, it goes into your body, and it takes a long time, and you have to be very patient. And yes, you're not going to feel good some days, but some days you're going to feel really good. In those days when you don't feel good, patience is the word I say, and take time for yourself. If you don't feel good and you have to cancel your day, take naps, lie around, rest, rest, rest. Your body is telling you that, if you don't feel good, you need to just stop and take care of yourself. So that's one thing that wasn't really explained to me. They would just say, oh, in time you will feel better. So now as a leader, I can say, just understand that it takes a long time for the medicine to get to the certain milligrams into your body. It's not going to happen in a week or two or in a month or two. It could take, like me, it took like 8 months in the beginning. And then when I had to increase, it took 5 months. And, the beginning of the week, I had to take an extra, pill or extra milligram. And I knew the day after or the 2 days after, I was going to be lying down, feeling like the flu, feeling really sick. And I wouldn't book anything. I wouldn't do haircuts. I wouldn't pet sit, because I had no idea how I was going to feel. So that's the one thing I can say is educate yourself, talk to your healthcare provider, journal, and make sure your nurse and your doctor know how you're feeling. If you're feeling really bad, you need to tell them right away. But also, if you have, if you're just feeling like the flu and headaches and nausea, get the anti-nausea medicine and try to journal with your food and try to be patient. Because
Absolutely.
that's the hardest. That's the hardest, is you don't know when you're going to feel better. And like when I was transitioning, people would just say, nurses would say, or even other mentors that I talked to, in a while, but they never explained to me why.
That's
So
right.
as a support group leader now, I can tell them, it's a very strong medicine, like I said before, and they have to only give it to you in small increments. Otherwise, you might not live through it.
That's right.
Because that's what test trials are about. So, that's the one thing I learned. And just really educating yourself, going to support groups, joining social media with pulmonary hypertension support groups. There's hotlines you can call and talk to. There's caregiver support group hotlines. There's meetings. I have meetings just for caregivers, with their patients. So there's lots of topics, but talking to your healthcare provider and joining Pulmonary Hypertension Association or other groups can really help. Know that you're not alone, because it's very lonely and it's scary and lots of buckets of tears in the beginning, and
Absolutely.
you feel terrible, and educating your family members is really important, because there's a lot of people that their support system isn't there and they feel alone and their family doesn't understand. They think they should just feel better right away, and they don't understand. So trying to reach out to other PH patients is really helpful. It makes your heart a little bit bigger, because you're not alone, and it's a scary disease. There's no cure, but you can live a really good life with this disease, and know your limitations, because I cut hair as a hobby now, but I go to people's houses, but there's only so many I can do during the day. I get really tired. So that's part of the disease. So I have to, not overmax out my energy,
Right.
you know.
But it's hope. And I love that you brought that up,
Yes.
Karen, that to have hope, look in your community. There are many new organizations now that are not-for-profit that are helping to increase awareness of pulmonary hypertension, but keep hope. And I love that you brought that up, and you're not alone. So
Yes.
we have different support systems. Sometimes that might come from family members, friends, or fellow PH patients. So that beautiful. I couldn't have said it better. I could not literally
Yeah.
have said it better, because you brought
Well,
up some great
the
points.
one more thing that I want to say, if you're not getting answers, if your doctor isn't listening to you, you need to find another doctor. It's really good to get a second opinion, get a third opinion, to find the right fit for you.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to have my doctor. It's been 9 years since I was diagnosed, and I love him. He's my hero. So, but other PH patients that I know of that went to the other doctors and had to find new doctors because the doctors weren't listening to them, or not doing the right thing. So it's very important to find a pulmonary hypertension doctor.
Yeah, lots of specialists. So yeah,
Right.
great point. I'm glad you brought that up, because people do need to hear that. So as we close out, and I could actually stay here and talk to you forever, literally. What words of wisdom would you give me as I continue on my journey?
Oh gosh. Well, first of all, how exciting, after what you went through with your mom. I mean, what a cool thing. What a cool thing to do, 100 interviews. Um, I'm kind of envious that you're going to learn so much more than even I know right now. So, I just wish you the best, and you know, you're a great listener and you ask great questions, and it's just very, very exciting. And yes, there's always hope. We can say this isn't a curable disease, but maybe someday it will be. They're very the scientists and they're testing and making different medicines into pathways. So you always have to have hope, and education, I think, is huge. And classes, if it's meetings, if it's support group meetings, if it's caregivers talking to caregivers, I think anything can help.
Yeah.
It always makes you feel better once you can tell your story or listen to somebody's story and be able to help. Or even what's been really exciting is teaching people how to do a Zoom, just like this. People aren't computerized, trying to get them to do it on their phone. And that's been really exciting. 2 times this year, I was able to get non-computer people on a virtual meeting. And that was pretty cool, But once that happens and they can get in touch with other PH patients, just makes my heart huge,
Love it.
So it's really nice.
So
And we cry too. Some meetings, somebody's story, we all cry and then we laugh. We talk stories about what foods agree with what medicine. So, we talk a lot of bathroom talk too, because that's part of the medicine. Whether you're on a sub-Q, whether you're on a Hikma pump, whether you're on Tyvaso, it all goes the same way with certain foods. It's just the way it is. So
oh yeah. Oh
we
yeah.
talk about everything.
And we look, and when you watch these 100 interviews, when I get to them, you're gonna see we have some moments we laugh and we cry on these Zoom,
Oh yeah.
on these virtual interviews too. So
Yeah, and it's
but we do it
okay.
together.
And it's okay. Sometimes I have my meetings just patient to patient with no speaker, with no, program. And I let them know, this is it. And, if I'm not feeling that good that day and I don't have my makeup on or whatever, I'm just saying, you guys, it was really hard. And like, this is the way I feel, And sometimes, yeah, we cry and then we laugh, and we all can relate and understand that we're all human and that happens,
Beautiful. Well, Karen, I just want to say thank you again for being here with me today. I know that for our viewers around the world, because this is going to reach so many people, they have learned so much. I've literally had my pencil out taking notes while you were talking. So I know that people are going to learn so much from you sharing your story. But what I do want them to be sure to take away is to never ever give up. So thank you again for
Exactly.
being here. I appreciate you.
You're very welcome.
For our viewers who are watching, please share Karen's message with family members, friends, communities, providers. We want other people to hear her story. So please continue to help this message to reach so many more people. Until next time, I'm Dr. Catherine Y. Brown, and thank you for continuing to follow my journey on the road to 100 interviews, and I'm going to get there eventually.
Yay. That's awesome. So
Thank
exciting.
you, Karen. I appreciate you.